MIL tried to induct me into the toxic boy mom club using my 10-month-old son. It blew up in her face so bad she fled after 4 days. I, 29F, am married to my husband, 29M. We have a 10-month-old son and live in a different city than our in-laws. Context: my MIL has only one child, my husband, and treats him like her emotional husband. She expects him to talk to her multiple times a day and even at night for an hour. She is highly manipulative, resents that he has a life with me, and constantly pressures him to move back to her Orthodox hometown. So this is how it started. She recently announced a sudden visit. My husband couldn't pick her up because the airport is hours away, and I had a critical work demo at that exact time. My husband needed to watch our baby while I worked, so he booked her a cab. This made her furious. When she arrived, I was in the middle of my live call, which lasted another 2 hours. I couldn't stop a work demo to greet her, but when it ended, the atmosphere was suffocating. She sat grumpily, frowning and refusing to reply properly. The next morning, she posted a passive-aggressive WhatsApp status about how one should end relationships if they don't get respect. I ignored and a couple of days passed. On Sunday, my husband asked her to cook while we set up furniture. Afterward, she cornered me and lectured me about how her son is used to only eating good food, clearly implying that I should be cooking for him instead of relying on our cook. She went quiet when I calmly said, "Then your son should know how to cook the food he likes to eat." That evening, she switched tactics and started complaining that my husband works too much. When I explained that our industry is highly competitive and risky right now, she kept asking why he always keeps busy. I knew she was actually implying that he doesn't talk to her enough. I told her directly, he has a life here, home, wife, infant, and job. So yes, he keeps busy the same way I do. She immediately twisted facts, claiming he sounds stressed and depressed whenever he calls her, trying to hint that I am the reason for it. I couldn't take it anymore and said, he is not stressed just by the job or the responsibilities he has here, he is more stressed when things happen back at your place, and he constantly has disturbances getting calls from there when he is supposed to be focusing here. She was taken aback because she never expected me to turn her own logic against her. Agitated but unable to counter my calm tone, she launched into her most offensive topic yet. The fireworks. She said, "See, now you are a mother of a boy, you will understand this and your mother will also understand this, that those moms who have one son, have their whole heart belonging to that son." I was confused and angry. What do you mean one son? My mother has 2 kids. But she has only one son, right? You are married now, and you have come to your home, but she will always have this special spot for her son. If something happens to him or worries him, she won't be able to sit peacefully. I asked, but why would she stop loving me if I am married and not my brother? She gets equally worried when something happens to me, even now. She insisted, no, mother and son have a different relationship. I took a deep breath and said, no. I don't agree with you, a mother and son relationship is equal to a mother and daughter relation in all respects. I cannot imagine I would have loved my child any differently if it was girl. She was stunned into absolute silence. Furious that her manipulation failed, she immediately fought with her son and booked a flight home for the next day. Before leaving, she went on a hunger strike. She wanted me to beg her to eat, but I refused to cater to her adult tantrum. We ordered food and ate right in front of her. She spent her final day lying on the sofa, fake crying and acting cold to me and the baby. My husband ignored her completely, told her she needs to see a doctor for her mental health, called her a taxi, and sent her away. Since leaving, she has ignored me entirely, even refusing to congratulate us when we bought our first car. Instead, she posts daily WhatsApp statuses about how DILs need to put effort in relationship because one-sided effort cannot continue from MIL side and MILs are not their mothers. In fact, she is so jealous of me buying a car for us, because she made my husband buy a car for her, that she posted a joke on petrol prices going up when I posted about my car. Communication between us is at absolute zero, and I am never going to initiate contact. Comments.
Girl, block her on WhatsApp, and urge your husband to handle her interference with more strength. Why did your husband buy her a car before you had a car? One small correction. I'm sad to point out you purchased your second car. Your MIL is driving your first car. Perhaps your husband should retrieve it. He should also stop caving to MIL's emotional blackmail when she wants him to pay her way. You're right. I was very angry about this, and even had an argument with him. His mother couldn't afford the card, but she could afford the ego somehow.
If you enjoy Reddit stories, hit the like button and subscribe. Now, let's jump right into today's story. My MIL told me to my face that she tolerates me for my husband's sake and now she's confused why I won't visit anymore. Visiting my in-laws last month. Sitting at the kitchen table while my husband was outside with his dad. MIL and I were alone. She was being weird all weekend and the silence was getting uncomfortable, so I was on my phone playing My Prize just to have something to do with my hands. Eventually even that felt ridiculous, so I finally asked if everything was okay between us. She put her coffee down and said, quote, "Honey, I tolerate you because I love my son and he chose you. That has always been enough for me." Then she smiled like she had just given me a compliment. I didn't say anything. Finished my coffee and excused myself. Packed my bag that night and told my husband I needed to leave a day early. I told him what she said on the drive home. He went silent for about 20 minutes. Then he said, she probably didn't mean it like that. I asked him how else there is to mean that sentence. He didn't have an answer. I have not been back to their house in 5 weeks. She has called me twice asking why I'm being distant and saying she misses our chats. Like she didn't tell me to my face that 8 years of marriage to her son has earned me tolerance and nothing else. My husband is in the middle. He says he's on my side but also keeps saying she's from a different generation like that's a reason. I'm starting to think the actual problem isn't even her. Comments.
Tolerate has a very specific meaning. If he thinks she doesn't understand what that means, he needs to maybe review the word with his mother. Loudly crying face, I would respond the same way you did. I would never want to be somewhere where I'm simply tolerated, oh my gosh. He doesn't have answer because either he's an idiot or a mommy's boy. And the actual problem isn't her, it's DH. You are doing the right thing. She spoke her truth. She can't unring the bell. All they can do is spin doctor the narrative and gaslight. She doesn't get to say that and then complain about your choice to only be around kind people who celebrate, not just tolerate you. There's no other way to take that. I wouldn't even say that aloud to a coworker. I'd call her a cunt, but she lacks both the depth and the warmth. Stop taking her calls. Why are you answering? If it's urgent, she can leave a message or call her son. There's no generation where that's an acceptable thing to say to someone. That's just an asshole. If you ever do agree to a visit, make sure to comment, well, I suppose for your sake I can tolerate your mother for a short visit. Every single time. Also inform him you are not to ever be left alone with her, so he'd better get his bathroom stop in before you get there, or it will be time to say your goodbyes and head out, or you'll be waiting in the car. He needs to understand that you absolutely know and respect your value and self-worth, even if she doesn't. Don't give her another opportunity to make you feel less than. If he can't do that, decline future visits and tell him to enjoy his time with her. But good to know where you stand in her eyes before she requires elderly care.
MIL crossed a major line by leaking my early pregnancy, gaslit us, and threw a massive guilt trip when confronted. Hey everyone, I'm looking for some perspective and honestly just need to vent. I, 31F, have been with my husband, 32M, for 3 years, and we've been married for over a year and a half. By profession, I am a therapist, so I consider myself a pretty empathetic and containing person. However, from day one, my relationship with my MIL has been distant. She has never shown any genuine interest in me. She's never asked me a single personal question, and whenever I try to share something about myself, she either gives a dry, one-word response and changes the subject, or immediately shifts the conversation to talk about herself and her own problems. From talking to my SIL, I found out she gets the exact same treatment. The only difference is that they have a few months old baby, so my MIL constantly demands a relationship with the baby while continuing to completely ignore the mother. A month and a half ago, husband and I found out we are pregnant. It's our first pregnancy and first child. Initially, we planned on keeping it a total secret until week 12. However, because the first few weeks were really difficult for me and I needed a support system, we decided to tell my family, who were absolutely thrilled and supportive. A few days later, my MIL and FIL were involved in a car accident. MIL was moderately injured and now faces a rehabilitation process that will take several months. Because of this, husband wanted to tell her about the pregnancy early to boost her morale and give her motivation for her recovery. I wasn't thrilled with the idea. I didn't really trust her to keep a secret, and I preferred fewer people to know in case, God forbid, something went wrong. But I didn't want to fight my husband on this. After our first ultrasound at week 7, we told his parents. Her reaction was incredibly disappointing. She said a dry congratulations and immediately started rambling about some colleague from her work. Husband was visibly hurt. I didn't care as much because my expectations of her were already low and I didn't really care. During that conversation, and multiple times afterward, we explicitly emphasized that this is a secret and she must not tell anyone. She agreed, said she understood, and promised she wouldn't say a word. Fast forward 2 weeks, I received a message from my SIL. She wanted to let me know that MIL had been telling people about the pregnancy. She actually showed the ultrasound picture we gave her to husband's brother, and told her 2 sisters as well. When husband called her out and asked if she told anyone, she flat out lied and said no. When he countered that his brother literally confirmed she told him, she immediately went into full manipulation mode. She started complaining about how much pain she is in, how hard her life is right now, and claimed we are just making her difficult recovery even harder. Then she threw in a random guilt trip, crying that her heart was broken because her other son visited her without the baby. Husband stood his ground, told her that had absolutely nothing to do with this, and demanded to know who else she told. At that point, she tried to blame FIL, claiming he was the one who said something, and that it was only to his brother. Husband kept pressing, and she finally admitted she also told her sister. When husband told her that we are furious and deeply disappointed in her, she resorted to the ultimate manipulation, threatening that she won't be here tomorrow morning because we are making her too sad. I told my husband right then and there that I do not play these games. If she refuses to acknowledge her mistake, lies, deflects, and resorts to threatening self-harm instead of apologizing, I am completely done dealing with her until she learns to behave like a mature adult. If we don't react with the utmost severity now, she will continue to stomp all over our boundaries, lie, and create drama every time she gets called out. I told husband explicitly, until she offers a genuine apology, fully takes accountability for what she did, understands why her behavior was completely unacceptable, and promises never to do it again, I am going NC, no contact, with her. We will not share a single detail about the pregnancy with her. Furthermore, if she doesn't get her act together over the next 7 months, she will not be seeing this baby, because I refuse to let myself be treated this way. Currently, husband completely agrees with me. It's been 5 days since the confrontation. She, on the other hand, is acting like nothing happened. She keeps sending husband casual texts, which he is ignoring, and hasn't said a single word about what had happened, let alone offered an apology. Am I being too harsh, or is going NC and setting these strict boundaries the right move here? Edit, thank you so much to everyone for the validation and support. It really means a lot. I know what she did was wrong and that we must react, but I'm also harboring a lot of fear and anxiety about the future. First, I'm terrified that she will manipulate the rest of the family, playing the ultimate victim and painting me as the villain who is depriving her of her rights as a grandmother and keeping her grandchild away. I'm scared she will convince everyone that my reactions are completely irrational. Second, I'm deeply afraid that as the due date gets closer, she will start crying and complaining to DH, my husband. Right now, it's too early in the pregnancy, so she doesn't really care. But once we reach the interesting stage, I know exactly how she operates. She will demand to be there, to hold the baby, and to kiss its head the moment it comes out of me. When we don't give her what she wants, she will exhaust my husband with endless drama. Even though she is his mother and he is the one who has to deal with her, he didn't choose her, and it breaks my heart to see him suffer because of her. I talked to my own mother about this, she's the only person I can vent to right now. She told me that I am 100% justified in my anger, but she also pointed out that my MIL will never understand what she did wrong and will never genuinely apologize. My mom thinks I should just drop it and let it go, because holding my ground will only overwhelm my husband and eventually cause major fights between us. I feel torn between protecting my boundaries and protecting my husband from her toxicity. Comments.
I disagree. If you let this go, it will still cause hurt to you, and resentment to your husband if he were to let you be his mom's scapegoat. Hold the boundary, and keep MIL accountable. Why didn't you notify the authorities/rehab people/police that she was threatening to off herself? Make threats, see consequences. Nip that right in the bud. Maybe husband needs to get a jump on therapy and learn to be immune from the fog, because this roller coaster ride will never end. Stand your ground, OP. You know everything you told your husband is 100% correct.
Update, MIL leaked my early pregnancy. After almost 2 weeks of NC got the following text from MIL. Hi, I am sorry if you were offended by me. When I told BIL, it was purely out of excitement, and BIL said that they already knew, so I thought you guys had told them, because I know that BIL and DH tell each other everything. I only told Aunt because she is a nurse. I had so many questions, and you know you can't ask DH because he has no patience. Overall, I was just worried about you and the fetus. Fact is, DH told other aunt, and another aunt still doesn't know to this day. All 3 aunts are her sisters. And this was my response. Hi MIL, it's important for me to clarify that I wasn't offended by you, you actively breached my trust. Excitement is not a valid reason to share someone else's private and medical information with anyone, and neither is worry. If you had concerns and felt uncomfortable approaching DH, you could have easily come to me and asked. None of these excuses justify the fact that despite us asking you multiple times to keep this a secret, you chose to tell 2 different people. The fact that you didn't tell other aunt is completely irrelevant and doesn't make the situation okay. Furthermore, the fact that we had to find out from other people what you did, and that when DH confronted you about it, you flat out denied it, blamed others, and tried to make excuses using unrelated drama only destroyed my trust in you even further. Right now, after everything that happened, I do not trust you and I do not feel comfortable sharing my personal life, my private information, or anything regarding this pregnancy with you. I don't know how we can rebuild this trust, but out of respect for DH, I am open to trying. However, this is a process that you will need to initiate. You need to figure out how to do that, first by doing some self-reflection and understanding other people's boundaries, and then we can work on our relationship. Her text made me absolutely furious. First of all, she didn't even take any accountability for what she did, instead, she blamed me for being offended rather than admitting she did something offensive. Second, the entire rest of her message is just excuses for why she did what she did, completely failing to understand that it was wrong. I want to thank everyone who commented on the original post. You really helped me understand the rational reasons behind my anger, which allowed me to deliver my message to her clearly and unemotionally. It's already been 2 hours since I replied to her, and I still haven't received a response. I don't expect an answer anytime soon. Comments.
This exact same thing happened to me in my first pregnancy, and she still won't hold accountability all these years later, even after we've gone no contact. It's always been only my fault, not hers. It's beyond frustrating. I really feel for you. Great response, and I really hope you stick to your boundaries on this. And based on your prior post, she recently had another DL pregnant. So what kind of questions does she really need to ask of her nurse sister about modern pregnancy? Your husband needs to handle his mother. This should not be your issue to deal with. Your response was excellent. You held your ground and clearly pointed out the shortcomings of her apology. You also clearly spelled out the consequences of her actions. Well done.
MIL is so used to her daughters letting her do whatever she wants with their kids that she was not prepared for boundaries when it comes to mine. My husband has 2 older sisters who both have several children of their own, all several years older than our daughter who is the youngest grandchild. Since usually the mom is the default parent who oversees visits and whatnot, my MIL has been very used to not really having any boundaries when it comes to her visiting her grandkids and being able to do whatever she wants without much pushback. My SIL would tell me that MIL would constantly appear out of the blue at her house with no advance warning or even permission, just expecting to be let in to see the kids, no questions asked. She said it was very annoying because MIL would throw tantrums if they were busy or just couldn't see her for whatever reason, since she never even let SIL know she'd be coming. Despite how much it irritated her, she just put up with it because MIL is her mom. Now, when it comes to my kid, she is not allowed anywhere near as much leniency. I'm the mom, also the default parent who is with my daughter 24/7, so of course I'm the one in charge of allowing visits and inevitably the one who has to deal with her when she does. It's a very different grandma experience for her because I don't put up with that bullshit. She is not my mother and I'm not obligated to. The moment she started appearing outside my apartment with no advance warning or even asking first, just expecting to be allowed in at any time of the day, and then of course subsequently throwing tantrums when we were busy, I nipped that shit straight in the bud. I told her that if she's going to act like this, from now on she needs to ask in advance or she won't be allowed to visit, simple as. She didn't react well to it and accused me of not liking her, making up excuses, that I'm keeping her from her grandchild, etc. She also said she refuses to make an appointment to see her granddaughter, and so she wouldn't be visiting again. Worked for me because now she only asks my husband when he's free to meet up with her for lunch with our daughter. I just thought it was funny how triggered these problematic MILs get when they're so used to getting their way with their own daughters and their children. It's always a shock for them when the DIL says no. She also treated my husband differently from his sisters growing up. He was the one expected to help her with everything and to be her emotional punching bag basically, whereas his sisters were not, so as a result they're much closer with her than my husband is. Hence, he doesn't give a shit if she's mad either. MIL had a meltdown because I don't want a predator in my home. My SIL is coming to stay with me and my husband for a week next week. Today my MIL sprung it on us that she has invited my husband's cousin to come stay with us too. My husband's cousin is in high school and last year he was suspended from school and the police were involved. His family won't say exactly what happened, all we know is that him and other boys did something to a female classmate. Since the police were involved we suspect it was something along the lines of sexual assault. My husband immediately told her he is not welcome in our home and told her off for having the audacity to invite someone to our home without permission. First she tried making excuses saying he's not a predator and that incident was probably bullying. My husband told her police don't get involved when it's just bullying. Then she turned it around as an attack on me saying how I just want to keep my husband apart from his family and how can I not allow the cousin to go and that I'm a hypocrite because my cousin was allowed to stay in our house. And she said how she doesn't even know why I care because I'm autistic just like the cousin, neither of us is even autistic? I don't even know why she cares so much if this cousin goes because no one in the family is even very close to him. I've only met him once very briefly and I get bad vibes from him. It hurts because I thought I was finally making progress with my husband's family but I guess this shows they will never truly accept me. My family loves my husband so much and treats him like one of their own but I guess I'll never have that with my in-laws. They never like me because they are Mexican and I am not and I'm a different religion. I've even been studying Spanish an hour a day for the past 2 years so that I can talk to them because they don't speak English. Sorry for the long rant, I just needed to get this off my chest to people who would understand. Comments.
Cousin's family has the right to their privacy, but the consequence is that others will assume the worst and rightfully protect their family by shutting out cousin. Please don't mistake your MIL being a jerk with the rest of the family not accepting you. Be careful she doesn't gatekeep the whole family. You are 100% in the right to not allow this cousin in your home when you don't have all the facts. Edit, to fix gatekeep. May have been funnier that way. Gatekeep LOL. I'm sure you meant gatekeep, but I'm enjoying the idea of gays gatekeeping their spaces from non-gays. LOL. My MIL gave our address to his mentally ill, rude, mean, violent brother who attempted to groom a high school student while working as a security guard, and casually told my husband, while I was out of earshot, that brother was on the way up to meet our children for the first time. We haven't seen or spoken to this man in almost 10 years. ML had a boohoo fest on our patio after my husband firmly told her no. I had no idea what was going on until my husband told me. My ML prioritizes family and putting on airs over the safety of our children.
MIL got mad because I want my own mother in the delivery room? I'm a FTM and my baby is due pretty soon. My fiancé and I have set some ground rules for both of our parents so none of the rules are crossed. Like kissing our baby, telling us we aren't doing stuff right and how it's not okay and such. One thing I mentioned to my fiancé is I want him and my mother to be in the delivery room when I give birth to my son. He was all for it. He said it's my pregnancy so I can have whoever I want in the delivery room with me at all times, so I genuinely thought it was going great. I mentioned to his mom about what we are doing for delivery room access and how after the baby is born we can have visitors. She asked me, oh, am I allowed to watch my baby to be born? And it made me very uncomfortable cause she called my baby her baby? So I told her what she meant by watching and she said she wants to watch my baby come out of me. My MIL wants to watch a baby come out of me. I told her no, and am only allowing my mom to be in the delivery room cause I don't feel comfortable being nude in front of other people besides my fiancé and my mom. She immediately flips out on me and says I am not letting her be a part of her grandson's life by not having her in my delivery room. My fiancé confronted her and stuck up for me telling his own mother that I'm not comfortable and it would make more sense if my mom was in there than her. She hates me now and she is now jealous of my mom being a part of my kid's life. Thumbs up light skin tone when it genuinely makes no sense at all. Comments.
I would want to know why she is so interested in seeing you naked. Was her MIL in the delivery room? Why does that matter? Either way, it doesn't change what OP feels comfortable with, and it can give MIL ammo. Because the answer is almost certainly no. MIL is upset because she doesn't get to do something she likely wouldn't have allowed her own MIL to do. I am just dying for some brave DIL to agree to this on the condition you get to observe her next pap smear and mammogram. Maybe tell her, thank you. Your reaction will dictate how you will be treated going forward. If you plan on making our lives contentious, I will be prepared to edge you out more and more. If you can act like a human, you can be involved. If you can't, we will make sure you have as little exposure to all of us as we deem necessary. That's what you get to dictate. How little or how much we allow you near us. Better start setting the ground rules for visits and everything else now before the baby is born, because you can bet she's going to want to visit the second you guys arrive home, maybe under the guise of helping out, when she actually meant holds the baby all day while you're doing chores. You'd also want to nip the my baby nonsense too. Read too many stories on here where MILs crossed so many boundaries and feels entitled to their grandchild while the parents just wants to keep the peace. By the time the parents start setting boundaries, the MIL had already been getting away with it for too long. Every child deserves to have a relationship with their grandparents, but not at the expense of the parents, especially the mother who's newly pages. You'd also want to consider the type of influence your MIL will be too. You don't want that type of toxicity around your child, so make sure there are consequences when your MIL steps out of line. This is your child. You decide what happens and not MIL. She's already had her chance with her own kids. Let your husband deal with his own mother and you focus on your recovery.
This was weird, right? MIL is not allowed to see our son because she refused to get the vaccines we requested. Our rule was that nobody could see him until he was vaccinated unless they got the vaccines themselves. It was a joint decision but DH and me, but naturally MIL blamed me 100% for keeping the baby from her. So today, I dropped DH off at her house to help her with a quick tech problem and was waiting in the car with baby. While he was distracted looking at her laptop, she came outside, walked around the car to baby's door, and tried to pull it open. I saw her at the last moment and instinctively locked all the car doors as she was reaching for the door handle. She must have heard the loud click. She just turned after trying to open it and went back in. DH came running out a moment later in a panic because he realized what happened. A funny ending, at least. MIL says, how many babies have died from using a blanket anyway? This comes up now and then since my granddaughter was born 14 mo ago. Baby is dressed in a footy onesie while sleeping. We were babysitting during the workday and invited MIL over. MIL says she doesn't see how a baby can sleep without a blanket. I said it's not safe and it could die from that, and she responds, how many babies have died from using a blanket anyway? I said, well, more than one, and if there's any risk at all mom doesn't want the risk. Hubby told me later I should not argue with her. I forgot because she's a total narcissist and therefore a know-it-all, has never been wrong. She's even said this out loud, I've never been wrong about anything. Okay lady. I was so incensed at her comment I looked it up later. On average 3,400 infants die worldwide from blanket and toys etc. in their crib. The blanket can get over their face and cause them to keep breathing the same air which gets full of carbon dioxide and suffocates them. I told my daughter about this remark because we both don't trust her. Daughter said hundreds of thousands of babies have died this way. Which would be correct over the last 30 years. She's my step-daughter. I didn't have any babies of my own and met her age 3 with her dad when we were 33. So I don't know the baby details that researched moms do and they have taken classes etc. Thanks for watching my video. Please like it and subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories.